Hi friends, Lauren with another video. And in this video, I, a baby boomer, am talking primarily, not exclusively, but primarily to my Gen Z friends, because you have a lot of energy and you have great social media skills. I mean, I'm super impressed with how, under the leadership of David Hogue and a few other young people, Zers organized around gun safety laws. So if you can do for this issue that I'm about to address in this video what you did for that issue, we can get this done. So, I have a question for you young folks. Why aren't we hearing about the Electoral College? It's a huge issue, especially in a presidential election year. And yet, to my knowledge, we're not hearing anything about it. Did you know that in presidential elections in every democracy around the world, the person who wins the popular vote wins? Now, the popular vote is the vote that each person casts. If more people cast their vote for you, you win. Plain, simple, and fair. Full stop. That's true in every democracy, that is, except one, ours. In the United States, you may indeed have gotten the most votes, but that doesn't mean that you'll necessarily win. Now, I know most of my Gen Z friends out there are too young to remember, and indeed, many of you may not even have been born yet. But in 2000, Al Gore got roughly 500,000 more votes than George W. Bush. 500,000 more Americans wanted him to be president instead of George W. Bush. But guess who became president? George W. Bush. You probably do remember that in 2016, Hillary Clinton got nearly 3 million more votes than Donald Trump. Close to 3 million more Americans voted for Hillary than voted for Donald Trump. But it didn't matter. Hillary lost and Trump won. My young friends, the United States is the only country, the only democracy on the planet in which that kind of injustice exists. In other words, a system where you may actually get the most votes, but lose the election. Now, why is that? It's because of an antiquated election system that requires presidential candidates to win not the popular vote, but something called the Electoral College vote. You have to win 270 Electoral College votes to win the presidency. Now, in this video, I'm not going to explain 4 things: what the Electoral College is, why it exists, how it works, and how it advantages Republicans. If I did, I'd probably bore you to death, and this video would be way too long. So just Google those things if you want to know the answers to those 4 questions. Suffice it to say right now, though, that winning the Electoral College requires winning a certain number of states, the ones we call the battleground states. Well, if you're like me, you think it's totally unfair for the candidate who gets the most votes to not win the election. And Zers, if you are like me, we're not alone. A lot of Americans feel the way we do, that the Electoral College makes our presidential elections totally unfair. After all, it applies to only presidential elections. For every other elected office in this country, from dog catcher to U.S. Senator, only the popular vote applies. Whomever gets the most votes wins, period. The Republican Party, however, is totally against abolishing the Electoral College. Why? Because without it, they'd have a very hard time winning presidential elections. And they know it. Think about it. Now, at my age, I remember all of these. Democrats won the popular vote when we elected Bill Clinton in 1992. We won it when we re-elected Clinton in 1996. We won it with Al Gore in 2000. We won it with President Obama in 2008. We won it when we re-elected President Obama in 2012. We won it with Hillary Clinton in 2016, and we won it when we elected President Biden in 2020. Now, young folks, there's absolutely no doubt that we're going to win the popular vote again this year. We know that Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are going to get hundreds of thousands, and yes, probably millions more votes than Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. We know that. Vice President Harris indeed may widen Hillary Clinton's 3 million vote margin over Donald Trump by maybe 3 million more votes. But friends, can you imagine if in November, President Harris wins the popular vote, and probably by a lot, but Donald Trump wins the Electoral College and therefore becomes president again? Can you even imagine that? How would you feel if that happened? I can't even begin to describe how I felt when it happened 4 years ago when Hillary won the popular vote but lost the election. And I can't begin to describe how I'd feel now if it happens yet again for the 3rd time in 24 years. Now, a lot of people want to get rid of the Electoral College, but because it's established in the U.S. Constitution, getting rid of it would require an amendment to the Constitution. And for reasons that I won't explain here, that's an extremely difficult thing to do. But friends, listen to this. A number of states have developed a sort of workaround to achieve the same result. In other words, to effectively nullify the Electoral College. They've entered into what they call the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. It calls for states to award their Electoral College votes to whomever wins the national popular vote. I don't know about you, but I find that awfully exciting. So far, only 17 states and the District of Columbia have adopted the compact. But the good news is that those states, together with DC, represent 77% of the 270 Electoral College votes needed to win. That's right. We're more than 2/3 of the way there. Actually, we're more than 3/4 of the way there. So here's the point of this video, my Gen Z friends. Here's the point. It's for me to ask two things of you. First, since we still do have to contend with the Electoral College vote in this election, let's make sure that Vice President Harris and Governor Walz win it. In order to do so, they've got to win some combination of the states of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, and North Carolina. Here's my first ask. If you live in one of those states, please go to your local Democratic headquarters and ask what they need, be it making phone calls, texting, postcarding, knocking on doors, leaving door hangers, whatever it is, and volunteer to do that. We have to win the battleground states, friends. We have to win this election. For reasons which I'm sure you're aware, our democracy, our very freedom is on the line. Now, here's my second ask. It won't help us in this election, but it can certainly help in the future. In just a minute, I'm going to tell you which states have adopted the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. If your state has not adopted it, I'm asking you to please contact your state's senators, your Democratic senators or representatives at either the state or the national level, and ask them what the process is for having your state adopt the compact. It may require a ballot initiative or maybe persuading your state legislature to pass a resolution. Whatever it is, find out what your state requires to adopt the compact and then make it happen, so that never again in an American presidential race will the loser be declared the winner. Oh my gosh, so that never again the will of the American people be thwarted in such an important endeavor as our presidential election. One last thing, my young friends. As I said earlier, I totally applaud how you've organized around the gun safety laws issue. It's impressive. But I believe that in trying to work within our current system on the gun issue or any other issue, your work is incomplete, and you may not get the results you want for many, many years to come. You, and indeed all of us, have to work on changing the system. We've got to change it so that the common sense, reasonable social policies that we want to see in our society are more likely to get done. In other words, we've got to change the system so that the politicians who are more likely to hear us are more democratically elected. In my day, we had marches and rallies and boycotts. This is your generation's clarion call. This one's on y'all. So young Zers, whether you're working or whether you're a student at a state college, an HBCU, a private university, or whether you're a high schooler, please work on getting Vice President Harris and Governor Walz elected in this election, and then for future elections, work tirelessly in your state to get it to adopt the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Help us to finally live in a country in which every person's vote counts and the will of the people wins. Let's get rid of the devastating, biased, and totally unfair effects of the Electoral College and what it does to our presidential elections. So I'm going to list the 17 states that have adopted the compact. They are Maryland, New Jersey, Illinois, Hawaii, Washington, Massachusetts, Vermont, California, Rhode Island, New York, Connecticut, Colorado, Delaware, New Mexico, Oregon, Minnesota, and Maine. We can do this, young people. We must do this. Let me know if you understood what I said in this video and if you're going to act on it. Oh, and if you liked it, please share this video with all your friends. So from a baby boomer speaking from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, my young Z friends, and I'll see you next time.